Marco, you can see the screen, the welcome new group members.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, y'all. Welcome to all the new group members. Just a quick little presentation, then we'll get started with the topic. So what this group is about, Marco, if you could just add the folks as they're coming in. A little bit about what this group is about. We're about learning and teaching something new, encouragement toward better health, wealth, and relationships. We're not a singles group, we're a friends group. So there's different expectations. We're socializing with a group about socializing with other positive people. We do online and in-person meetups. We're a meetup group created for Black people. We don't discriminate on others based on race, religion, or sexual orientation. All right. So we're wide open, even though the group was created for Black folks. We're wide open, and we accept everybody, and we don't discriminate. A little bit about just levels of membership to the group. Here you see it right here. We got different levels. Anybody who enters the group, you're pretty much force sensitive. I base this off of Star Wars universe. As you kind of work your way in the group and you're become more familiar and you keep showing up, you move up the Jedi ranks. And then if you just do negative stuff in the group, you become a Sith apprentice. And basically the only negative thing you can really do in a group is just be like a no-show for an event. Sith acolyte, you just join the group with no picture or fuzzy picture or weird picture, like you got your shirt off or something like that. Then you become a Sith, and Sith are the bad guys in Star Wars. So that's kind of where we're at with it. The only really faux pas people in the group is really just people who are Sith apprentice and Sith acolytes. But we have some Sith lords, and they come and they chop it up and they vibe, and it's good. It's a good time. But those are about the different levels of membership. Let's see some context. I always like to kind of lay this out for folks so they know why it is we're having these conversations. Main thing is to meet new people and see where they stand on important relationship issues. To learn more about the opposite sex. Shout out to Nika and Kai. They both they understood the assignment, as the new saying goes. They're in the comments and they were asking genuine questions, trying to find out more about the opposite sex and what their position and stance was on things. So that's kind of what these conversations are supposed to be about. We're about restoring and encouraging healthy Black relationships through engaging in conversation to see more two-parent households, nuclear families. So that's just here we go. A little bit, I'd like to bring things into context about why we're having these relationship conversations and kind of frame things for y'all. Prior to the 1960s and 70s, Black folks were the most married, but after the 1960s and 70s, something changed and we became the least married. And this really occurred for all groups, but for Black folks, it happened especially. So Marco, you might have to see if you can find that person. As you're coming in, just make sure you mute your mic, folks. These are some things that may have affected it, what caused some of the downslide in marriages. But question I always ask is there a gender war and was it planned? Just something to think about.
The biggest thing that has troubled me about what I've heard is that it seems to me that Black people are not entirely interested in how can I say it, coming together and resolving their issues through consensus, and they're more interested in sustaining a long-range conflict. Everybody has their positions and no one wants to consider the other side's point of view. Mm-hmm. We have separate agendas, we have separate perspectives, and it seems that what wins are, voices in the room who are really dedicated to keep and maintaining their positions and not compromising or seeking consensus.
Right.
And I think that's dangerous.
Okay, so that was from a podcast, and here I just wrote some things down. Are we interested in coming together and resolving conflict through agreement to solve the marriage crisis in the Black community? As you can see here, y'all, there's a real marriage crisis. Black folks as a population, we're the least married, of all populations. This is for the U.S. and this is for Black folks here. But do we just want to maintain strife and division and allow those who are unwilling to compromise and come to an agreement to keep us apart? I just add that little clip in there because I thought it was poignant and just something to reflect on and think about. Because oftentimes with a lot of these conversations, it's like really the loudest, most, people who aren't interested in bringing us together are the ones who kind of have the final say. So trying to reverse some of that. We're almost at a full house. So make sure y'all tell y'all friends to get on here. We only got a few more spots. So what's your lane? We're going to start this conversation off talking about lane. But I think the thing that a lot of folks want to talk about is this whole Kevin Samuels thing and the dust up. But I don't know. I kind of bit off. I feel like sometimes with these conversations, I bite off more than I can chew. And I should just stuck it to one topic, but we're going to briefly cover the lane thing because there was some questions that came up about it. And here we go. Why you don't date in your lane, Brandi?
Well, I have confusion, first of all, because of the date in the lane game.
Sister, your lane is not just your looks. There's three things you take in consideration. Your 1 to 10 is your quality of life, your 110 to your character, and 110 in looks divided by 3, that's your number. And unfortunately, there's too many women who are 8 in looks and got a 500 credit score and 3 kids and still think they're 8. If you want a skinny sister, you can't be aiming for 8, 9, or 10, and you're a 5 in looks. These women be like my size, and they want each to celebrate. Most brothers, when we leave high school, we know what our number is. So I try to date in my lane. And I think we should try to do that here, because when you travel, everyone else is doing it.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the ladies, I'm looking at the chat, Ken, they're saying, why is a lot of your position just focused on looks?
The first thing that you see when you're at a social event is their looks. But men who've been around women, we have kind of noticed if they're not physically attracted to them, they're going to keep it moving.
Well, I don't know my lane, and I guess that's why I've had 2 boyfriends that went south. I don't know my lane, and that's why I'm making wrong decisions, because I don't know my lane.
All right, y'all, that was Brandi. She was honest enough to admit that she didn't know her lane. And the truth be told, I feel like particularly so with a lot of ladies that they're unaware of their lane, but Brandi was just one who was honest enough to admit it. And that was a clip from a previous conversation we had. And Ken was talking about what a woman's lane is. But I want to ask a question. This is going to bring us to our first poll here. Is Ken right? And then the second question is, do women try to date outside their lane far too frequently? So I'm going to launch this poll here. Let's see here. And so the question is Ken right? Is a woman's dating and relationship lane comprised of her looks, character, and quality of life? Take the mathematics out of it. Ken had brought some mathematical figures in it, but take the mathematics out of it. Is that what a woman's lane is? And are there too many women in America trying to date above their lane? That's the second question for the poll. So here's a poll. We're going to give you a minute to answer it. And the poll is now launched. And I'll show you all the results after you finish. All right, we got y'all weighing in. Interesting result. These polls are always interesting. I like it. I wonder what the split is on the room. I wish I can show these poll results by gender, but looks like we're maybe like 60-40 women to men in the house. So it's always interesting. So Ken's basically saying that the lane is looks, character, and quality of life. So give you a few more seconds. I think about everybody just about answered. A few people didn't respond to the poll, but y'all, let's see here. I think you're probably just listening in. Let me show the poll results and let me share the results. Marco, can y'all see that? So about 70%. Yeah.
I can see it.
All right. 70% agree with Ken, say he's basically right. 30% don't agree. And let's see here. It's a 50-50 split almost that, some people think women are trying to date above their lane and some people are saying, no, not really. So that's interesting. So I am a man, okay, y'all. And when I look at let's see, I got the poll off. Okay. I think I'm going to have to side with Ken on this one here. I think that when a man looks at a woman, these are generally the things that he's looking for. So we're going to break it down by a woman's lane and a man's lane. And so the first thing what Ken talked about was looks. And somebody had sent me a message and they were saying, well, they enjoyed the conversation. She might be in here tonight. I didn't want to post her name because she might not want to be displayed, but she says, it seems like more merit is given to how people look as opposed to what they have or bring to the table mentally and emotionally. And I get what she's saying, but when we're talking about like people's dating lane and relationship lane, when it comes to men, as shallow as it may seem, ladies, the first thing we're looking at is the first thing we see is looks. So that's what we're evaluating off of. We're going to have a more in-depth and positive conversation. We're actually going to do a book review, y'all, of this book called Love and Respect. It's a great book. I've been opening up and reading so far. It's really good. And I think that's going to be like a real conversation where we're really going to dive in deep on some things. But when we're just talking about somebody's lane, it's a superficial measure, y'all. And that's what we're going off of. Only a few more spots. So tell y'all friends to get on in here. So looks, when we're talking about looks, we're talking about face, body, grooming, and hairstyle. Second thing is character. Oh, why is this little thing showing up? I don't like that. But anyway, when we talk about character, it's talking about attitude, faith, morals, intellect, femininity, and loyalty. This is not like There's probably some things that I'm missing that I missed out on this list, but these are the main things that I tried to include. In quality of life, when we look at quality of life, looking at number of children and their age, we're looking at spending habits, availability, and fertility and age. Let's see here. I said men place little value on education, career, and income when it comes to mate selection. And when I don't mean to say little value overall, but when it in comparison to these other measures, looks, character, and quality of life, education, career, and income is kind of like a mute point, especially for a guy who has his stuff together. So, I mean, I think if all things being equal and you have a woman who has like looks, character, quality of life, and she's a lawyer, and you have another woman who's has these other things at equal measure, and she's a barista, yeah, the tiebreaker is going to go to the person who has the other things on top of that. But just in general, overall, this is what men are looking at in terms of like lane. Let's see here. For a man's lane, just like looks, just like with women looks. So also with men, you're going to add a height. Height's a factor in terms of what women are looking for. Money and resources is a factor. So income, we're talking about assets, we're talking about your connections, staff. Also talking about status with reputation, occupation, education, visibility, and class. Character, and this last category, I just kind of lumped it all together. We're talking about character, personality, plus game. So what is this comprised of? This, like I said, this isn't exhaustive. There are plenty of other things I could add to this, but we're looking at sense of humor, swag, confidence, faithfulness, mouthpiece, the way you speak to women, masculinity, your charm. These are all things that are kind of in the concoction. Marco, you can see those little green lines, can't you? I don't know why those green lines are showing up.
No, I can't see no green line.
Okay, I guess it's just on my end. I'll just keep it pushing. So this is just some data here, and this is from the powermoves.com, and they did like some polls or whatever, and just asked people like what they look for in a mate. And the first category up here is what women look for in a man. So as you can see in the short term, this first box here, 35% looks, 30% game, and then the other things are kind of start dwindling down. We're talking about status, age, personality, resources. But in the long term, resources go from 6% to 27% in terms of what women look for. Looks long term for women starts to decrease, whereas it was 35% in short term. Now it becomes 15% now. Now, when it comes to women, when it comes to men looking for women, 80%, we had a full house, y'all. Thank you, everybody. We're at a full house. But when it comes to women, 80% looks. In terms of what men are looking for in women, 80% of what we're looking at looks. And this, to me, being a man, I can speak and say this is pretty much accurate, especially when we talk about the short term. Then you have other factors like age, personality, game, all these things are make up 20%, everything else. But looks in the short term for men, it accounts for about 80%. When we start talking about long term, other things begin to play a factor more so. Age, and I think age is primarily just because it's tied to fertility. Like if we're talking about having children, if a man wants to have children, that's when age becomes more of a thing. Faithfulness, men start to consider faithfulness more for long-term mates, and other things begin to play a factor. So that's that. So that's just some data supporting the previous slide where we talked about lanes there. So a brief word about hypergamy when it comes to lanes. And I got to thinking about this question of lanes and like why a lot of ladies they're not familiar with their lane, or they don't really consider their lane. And I think it's because they don't have to, and they aren't conditioned and they aren't hardwired to think about their lanes. We as men, we have to think about our lanes frequently because oftentimes we're the one doing the approaching. So we're analyzing and assessing ourselves to figure out if we approach this woman, what's our likelihood that we're going to either be accepted by her or rejected by her. So women don't have that burden, although women, nowadays are starting to approach more, but they don't have that burden. And then there's another factor is, whereas a lot of times men don't reject women, even if a woman's not in his lane, because men would typically have sex with the woman, even if she's below his lane. Because men will get down across the board, whether the woman's in our lane or not. So, but when it comes to hypergamy, so I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with this word, but women are hypergamous in nature and hardwired to select the top men to pair off with and
like,
procreate.
You don't got this? All right, boom. I'm going to the next man that could provide me with the lifestyle I want.
Well, if he's making something like yours, it's not okay.
No.
You see what I be saying, yo?
No, let me finish. I practice hypergamy. I practice hypergamy. I don't know what the fuck other bitches
What's
practice.
hypergamy? Break it down.
It's when I date men above my caliber.
Okay.
I don't date men on my same
I do
level.
too.
Okay,
Why would I want a man that
Okay,
could
okay.
barely provide the same lifestyle that I could provide for myself?
'Cause there's no-
I said it, so
No,
what?
no.
I practice hypergamy. I date men on a higher caliber than myself.
All right,
If
right.
I work for Con Edison and I am the electrician man, I'm fucking the supervisor.
Yes,
Hypergamy is dating someone on a superior level than you. So let's say I work for Con Edison, I am the mechanic. I'm not breeding or fucking another mechanic. I'm fucking the supervisor.
So there's the actual, so y'all heard her say it. She was pronouncing it wrong, but it's hypergamy. So this is the actual definition: marrying or forming a sexual relationship with a person in a higher caste or social status, or otherwise marrying up. And this was in another meetup group I saw. I noticed one brother said this. He said, real women get to know a man for who he is and not what he has, what he looks like, or what he can do for him. I disagree with this gentleman wholeheartedly. And I don't know why a lot of guys get into this thing where they try to shame women for being hypergamous versus just trying to adapt to adapt to the way things are. But, he's saying that a woman gets to know a man for not what he looks like. But on the flip side, men, we're interested in what a woman looks like. So how can we, it's weird how some guys like to think and try to do things. Like you can't have it, you can't have your cake and eat it too here. But he want women to get to know him for who he is. But it's just weird the way some guys are thinking. But that's just hypergamy. So let me see here. So these are some comments. Julie says, since some women subscribe to the piece of man is better than no man, like what? Disha replied and said, some women will settle for a piece of a man. The question I asked is, I know this is a sidebar, y'all, and I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole, but just follow me. So why are so many women sharing men? So one, there's a shortage of men. We talked about this in another conversation. Ratio averages about 7.5 to 11 is about the ratio. Also, we just talked about this hypergamy and female pickiness. So this is just from the Institute of Family Studies. It says that the top 20% of most sexually active, never married young men have about 60% of the sex. The top 20% of promiscuous men account for about 60% of male sexual partnering. So this confirms hypergamy. So this is just some data here from Tinder. This is from Tinder Insights, and it looked at the way men and women swipe. On the right category there, you have men, and men are swiping about 50% yes. And with women, they're only swiping about 5% yes. And women are, it's like they're like 36%. They're way more likely to get a match than a guy is. But they're also, on the flip side, they're way more pickier than men too. So, and this is just some more data from Tinder there that shows that women and their pickiness, they're super low at 70%, but low being high in this case. And with men, it's about 40%. So that's just some data there. So those are some things that are kind of playing into the concoction of the why are so many women sharing men. A lot of it has to do with hypergamy and there being a shortage of men, and that the top men are kind of, women are going for the top men. Some solutions for men: strive to be in the top 20%. That's really the only thing you can do. Either that or travel abroad. Go to somewhere where you're in the top 20%. You aren't in the top 20% in the US and you want to have an easier time on the dating market, either be in the 20% or travel abroad. Some solutions for women who still want to practice hypergamous women who are still want to be hypergamous: expand your dating pool, interracially date. So you're going to have to open up, you're going to have more options, and or level up to a higher lane. If we're talking about long term. So those are some solutions for men and women. So this brings us to our second poll. Question 1: is hypergamy causing problems for women in the dating pool? And question 2 is going to be, should men stop complaining about hypergamy and female nature and seek to become the sort of man that the majority of women are looking for? So that's poll number 2, and I'm going to launch it, and I'm curious about what these results are going to look like. Poll is up. Wow. Okay. Results are pouring in. We got like a pretty split crowd tonight so far, I must say. I think a lot of these polls are coming down to gender, honestly, with some of them, the way it's folding out. We'll give you all about 15 more seconds. All right. I think it's about a good portion of people responded. Give a few more people a few more minutes to respond. Well, not a few more minutes, a few more seconds. All right, we're gonna end it. You don't got your answer in. All right, we're ending the poll. Let me share the results for y'all so y'all can see it. So about 60% think that hypergamy is causing a problem for women in the modern dating market. Let's see here. And about more think that men should stop complaining and just try to be in the top 20%. I actually agree with that second one. That's where I'm at with it. I think we need to stop complaining. What do you think, Mark? You think we need to stop complaining, or do you think that women need to adjust and stop being so hypergamous?
No, I think stop complaining.
All right. So that's poll number 2. All right, let's go here. So now we're on to the conversation where I think a lot of folks are here. Let me see how I'm doing on time. We're doing all right on time. So when to expect sex?
The basic problem with the beginning of the relationship, I think, is that each person has their own sexual timetable of what should happen when that the other person knows nothing about.
All right, y'all. So that's a little clip from Seinfeld. Some of you may know I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and there he's just talking about the thing we're actually talking about here today. And it's funny. And in that clip, he said that, a man's expecting, this is in the 90s, y'all, and this isn't in the Black community. So he's talking about a man expects physical contact. In the contract, he would have liked it that a man get physical contact within 3 dates. But I only put that in there to give people some context to say that a lot of people are kind of approaching this conversation. A lot of ladies, to be honest, are approaching this conversation, making it seem like it's like this is a new narrative that's being spun, and we're seeing words like damaging, we're seeing words like dangerous, we're seeing words like toxic, we're seeing words like chauvinist. But this has been going on for a while, and so it's kind of like this isn't anything that's new. Like, men have been trying to expedite access to sex quicker for as long as modern dating has been, for forever. So let's just kind of pump our brakes a little bit, everybody, and just realize that this is just what's happening out here. So, everybody needs to relax a little bit. All right. This is just my overall thought about this. This is dating. This is the game, y'all. So these are the 2 clips here. We'll go ahead and play it.
And understand, when I mean dates, I mean nighttime dates. Ladies, if you don't want sex to be on the table, then don't go out after dark. If you go out after 5 p.m. with a man, sex should be on the menu. If you want to keep it strictly platonic, date between the hours of 12 and 3.
All right. So that was Kevin Samuels. From his point of view, if going on a date, sex should be on the table after 5 p.m. Now, Tony Gaskins. And Bacchus, y'all know Bacchus. He says that if you have no intention of sleeping with a man, then don't waste your time and his money accepting a date. Date means dick at the end. So Bacchus agrees.
Somebody sent me a video, and it was a gentleman telling women that if they don't want to sleep with a man, not to go on a date after 5 p.m. I'm all for personal responsibility. So what I'm finally realizing is what women have been telling me all along. Is how about we stop telling women to have these crazy restrictions, and we start telling men to be more responsible, to grow up, and to mature. How about we tell men that just because you take a woman on a date at 7 p.m., it doesn't mean she owes you her body. We got to do better. We got to keep growing.
All right. So second point of view is just because you take a woman on a date, she doesn't owe you sex. So I'm just going to give my quick take. Well, Melody, who was in the comments, she agreed. She said, any man who expects me to give him my prized possession because he took me on 3 days is out of his mind. So she seems to agree with Tony Gaskins' positions. So here's my take. I'm just going to give a quick little take, but I really want to hear from y'all. And we got a few more slides to get to, but we're going to open it up, y'all. But I'm just going to just put my position out there that I disagree with Kevin Samuels. And the thing that really put the nail in the coffin for me was the word should. I think to be honest, I just think it's ridiculous to think that just because you take a woman on a date, she should give you sex. So it's just ridiculous. So I agree with Tony Gaskins' second position here that she doesn't owe you sex just because you take her out on a date. So I agree with that. Where I'm going to kind of divert a little bit from Tony Gaskins is where he says that men need to do better. and there's no crazy restrictions for women. I think that this is just him pandering, honestly, because I think that we all can do better. And to just place the blame solely at the feet of men, I think is part of the problem. And I think that if we're going to try to address this thing and get on track, we need to look at both sides of it. So I think that that's pandering a little bit. But overall, I think I agree with Tony Gaskins more on this, even though he was pandering. All right. So this is going to be our third poll here of the night. So what's your position? Where are y'all at on it? Are y'all sex while dating, sex while only in a relationship or exclusive with someone, or sex in a marriage? And the second question is going to be, whose side are you on with this conversation? Kevin Samuels or Tony Gaskins? Let me launch the poll here. Let me pull it up. There we go. The poll is live. Oh, okay. So this is a little surprising thus far. Give y'all about 20, 30 more seconds. Interesting crowd we got tonight. Let's see here. Give you 10 more seconds. It looks like we got about everybody. Let's see. Let me go ahead and end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let me share the results here. So let's see here. So sex while dating, 40%, 47% while only in a relationship, and 14. So so 14% sex only in a marriage. So, and that's that counts for about 11 people in here. So 10 people in the house, sex only in marriage. Let's see here. More people. Okay, so I'm surprised we got a lot of people who agree with Kevin Samuels. 17. That's a good number. I thought it would be less than that, but okay, we got a lot of folks agree with Kevin Samuels' take on this, but most people agree with Tony Gaskins. So all right, there we go. That's the poll. Let me stop it, and we'll keep the conversation. Just a few more slides, y'all. A few more slides. So this slide here is some of y'all who've been following these conversations. We talked about the different eras of dating and whatnot, and primarily throughout human history, arranged marriages were a thing. Past that, we start to move more into the traditional era where courting was more of a thing. And then now we're in relative recent times, and what I mean is 50, 60, 70 years, dating is kind of taken over. And we're in a dating culture type thing. And just some differences here between dating and courting. And there you see. So dating is, with courting, y'all can just see this here. So dating is kind of where we're at right now. And so it's a new thing here. So we're still, in a lot of ways, we're figuring things out. So for people who are saying this is the way it should be done or shouldn't be done, I don't know if I agree or buy that, because it's like we're still just trying to figure this whole thing out, y'all. So it's not like there's no rule book on this. So we're just figuring it out, and that's the only reason why I share this slide here and share the difference between dating and court. Because throughout the course of human history, dating is kind of new. So for people to say you shouldn't do it this way, you shouldn't do that way, you're supposed to do this, supposed to do who's right, who's wrong, man? What's the rest of really say? Because it's a new thing. Some pitfalls of modern dating. This is where I really give my opinion. So this is my opinion, y'all. So some pitfalls, and this is from a man's perspective. Distracts you from your purpose and drains your resources. This for a man, from me, a man who's looking for, if I am going to be involved with a woman right now at this point in my life, I'm looking for something serious. So distracts you from your purpose and drains your resources. So chasing, y'all know what is a distraction. Finding a wife is part of your purpose, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Wasted time and money if it doesn't work out. If you date a woman and it doesn't work out, you wasted your time and your money. Let's see here. You're spending money to get her to like you. Whereas before, in the old days, you kind of knew who the woman was. You knew that she liked you. You knew that, think about like back to high school. Like, you knew the person. People weren't really sweating money and all this other stuff. But now you're spending money to get her to the point of liking you. And then from the point of liking you, can you do X, Y, Z? Can you do So it's kind of like, that's a problem, because we're spending money to try to get somebody to like you. Let's see here. So there's non-exclusivity, and people are sharing. So you're competing with other men. Her attention is divided, and oftentimes she is giving back very little in return. Keyword being reciprocity, or worse, she's giving more to one man than she is to others. This is from a man's perspective, y'all. This is just some common complaints. This is why you have a Kevin Samuels come up and say some of the things that he's saying about women should do X, Y, and Z, because these are some things that men are experiencing out here. There's a greater risk to expose. There's a greater exposure risk to STDs with dating. Going Dutch could be a reasonable solution for some in these modern times, but going Dutch too soon is a turnoff for a lot of women. And also some traditional men don't like going Dutch early in a relationship. I know I don't. Like when I'm first getting to know a woman and meeting a woman, I don't like to go Dutch. It just doesn't, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable with it. You know, call me a simp, call me whatever. It's just not my vibe. You know what I mean? So, I mean, a lot of people have been throwing that suggestion out there in the comments, but for everybody that doesn't work. For a lot of women, it's a turn off, and some men just don't want to do it. And let's see here. So the time spent that you dating the wrong types of people is time missed pursuing the right kinds of people with modern dating. So my solution for men is to date intentionally. This is my solution. This is my solution. Everybody, y'all can have your own solution, but this is my solution. I think we should date intentionally. I can't do the courting thing, but I think that we should date intentionally. So stop dating strangers. That's kind of what's happening, especially with online dating and stuff like that. Nobody knows who they're dating. People are going out on dates and then they're finding out stuff. And by that time, you already spent money and resources. And here, this is a story that Melody has shared in the comments. She said she went on a date with a gentleman, and she said after he had spent about $75 on his date, I decided that I was no longer interested because he was in the process of getting a divorce, but wasn't completely divorced. This is a problem with dating a stranger, because you don't know what people have going on. And then by the time that you go on a date, as a man, you've already committed, you already spent money. And it was something that to you, like, hey, you'll say you're this gentleman, you're going through a divorce, and you're pretty much on the tail end of it, and you go out with a woman and say, hey, this is where I'm at. She said, well, I don't like that. I'm not for it. And you're out money. So I hope that a lot of ladies can see where this can be like a thing for men, where it's like, like we're just out now. But this is a problem with dating strangers, because nobody knows anything about anybody, and then you find out stuff, throughout the course. But if we were dating people we're familiar with, you kind of know where they're at. So I think that men should work on themselves and commit to their purpose.
Sex, love is for men who have accomplished something. If you ain't got 25,000 in your account right now, you don't even deserve to have sex. Don't think she's obligated because she's going out with you. Because women like to have a nice time. If the atmosphere is right, the car smelling good, you got the right music going, you're treating her like a lady, you'd be surprised what can happen. You can make this girl a friend.
That's right.
And be patient enough to wait until she gives it to you. Or guess what? After 30, 60 days, you may not want to be with that woman or guy, right? Because once you get on the phone, hear the kids in the background yelling and screaming, people having problems, you start hearing, do I really want to be around? Yo, you ever met somebody, you hear what's going on? And you're like, let me go handle that. Like, go handle that. And you don't want to talk to them more. You don't want to be involved with that.
Shout out to Jasmine for sending me that clip, and I think he was spot on. I actually made this PowerPoint before I got this clip, and I think he's echoed a lot of things that I'm going to echo here. He talked about how he said that a man should have 25K in his account before pursuing sex or intimacy with a woman. To me, that's a little elitist for my take, but I think it's an interesting take. He also said that women like that go out and have a nice time and stuff like that. So it's like, if you set the mood, if you just kind of, if you're a little bit more smooth with it, and you're not so pressed about, you spending this amount of money, you might have better results. And that's I think that was the gist of what he's saying there. And then also toward the end, he said that, if nothing else, you might make a person a friend. I'm gonna talk about that more in a second. But overall, I heavily agree with what he was saying there. I don't know if I agree with the dollar amount, but I do think that when we talk about a man committing to his purpose, I think that's part of it. I'm more about versus the money aspect. Just find your purpose and commit to that. Only date women who like you. This is different from dating women who's interested in you. So I think that we should start dating women who like us. Clearly communicate your positions and only date like-minded women. If you're a person where that, like you can't, like you're not going to be able to wait to marriage to have sex, make sure you make that position known off the bat, or whatever your position is, whatever you think about something. If you're a more traditional type guy, make your positions known beforehand. And for women too, if you're a more traditional woman, make your positions known so people know what it is they're working with. And only date people who are like-minded. Before you go on a date, ensure that the woman will be an asset in your life, not a liability. An asset adds to you, a liability takes away. So versus, that was a huge problem I was having with dating in these modern times. Was I would go out on a date, and for at least for the first part of getting to know somebody, like the person's pretty much a liability, because like what value or what are you adding to me? You know what I mean? I hate to make it sound so tit for tat, but that's really kind of how things are.
I bet you ask every woman right now, how many black men
Y'all know
are
Michael.
your friends in your friend zone that will actually be your husbands, but you won't give them the time nor the day to even make them your husbands? And I land my mic there.
That was from the last conversation. And Michael was saying how many, y'all kind of got what he was saying there, but like women, he was suggesting that women are friend zoning guys and not, not considering for marriage. And we're gonna have a poll question on that. But I have a whole different take on that. And I think that men should reverse the friend zone. Like, why are we letting, ladies, this is from a male perspective, I'm just trying to give the guy some game. Why are we letting women friend zone us? We should be friend zoning women. And then you select from your friend zone who you want to entertain and whatnot. Look at Marco grinning. For real, like, why are we friend zoning? Why are we allowing women to friend zone us? You need to be friend zoning women. Like, we're a lot of guys were playing defense. We need to be playing offense. Like, reverse the whole thing. Just like friend zone her first before you get friend zone. Because when you're friend zone, you're operating from a position of weakness. So just put her in the friend zone first, and then see if she's an asset. See if she's a liability.
Y'all will friend zone us, and then y'all will still fuck us. So it's a whole different topic then.
Say that again, Brandi.
When guys friend zone females, y'all still fuck them.
Well, that's true.
Exactly.
Sorry to say it like that. Y'all still have intercourse.
That's true, but I'm talking.
When we friend zone somebody, it's like you're not even on the tablet. You're not even in my phone. You know what I mean? There's a big difference there.
I can't speak for me. I can't speak for every guy, but I'm talking about for guys who are trying to look for something more serious and long term. And I think that spending an excessive amount of time chasing, there it is right there, chasing, I think that's a waste of time for men, and we need to be focused on our purpose. So if you have all these women in your friend zone and it's like this huge thing, and the only thing you have women for your friend zone for is sex or intimacy or whatever, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong, because there's, women are bringing other things to the table other than just sex in their body. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I'm talking, Brandi, I'm having a mature conversation for mature men, and I'm giving mature men a game plan. A lot of times I don't like to suggest what women should do, and I don't like to throw things out there, but I often hear women say things like, well, how do I, well, this is the way things are. Well, how do I not be, the type of woman who's like a taker or a liability? So these are some few suggestions I threw out there. And like I said, I don't like to tell women advice. I like y'all just kind of, I like women to coach women or do all this stuff, but these are some things from a man's perspective, what I think will help. And I think that seek to be an asset, not a liability to men you like. Add value to him. You want him to say, I couldn't have done this without you. Show reciprocity. Practice the love languages. I don't know if anybody's familiar with love languages, but talk about gifts, act of service, quality time, physical touch, and there's one more I'm missing. But y'all know anybody who's familiar with love languages, like 5
words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation. There you go. Practice those love languages. You know what I mean? That's an easy thing to do, and you're not, you can still, it's an easy thing to do. Support and help him. What does he have going on in his life? Be a support. Help him out. Stroke his ego. Be his feminine companion and inspire him. So those are just a few suggestions, because I often see women and they say, well, what do we do? What is it we're going to do? Because men are, I want to be, feminine. I don't want to pay for dates. I don't want to do X, Y, Z. These are some ways that you can show reciprocity and give back. Just a few suggestions, something to think about and meditate on. But as a man, this is kind of what I see. So this is the last poll, and we got one more slide, and we're going to open it up. All right. So poll question 1, should women reach, this Michael suggested this, should women reach back in the friend zone to find a mate? Because Michael was asserting that there's some good guys in the friend zone that women are skipping over. Second question is, should a man have at least $25K in his bank account before he pursues sex or intimacy with the woman? I understand. I think that a man should be on his purpose and should be established. I don't know if let me not fudge the results of the poll. I want y'all to give y'all's opinion on it. Let's see here. That was the last and final poll. Let's see what y'all think. Poll is up. Man, these poll results are funny. That's interesting. I think I fudged the results on the second one. I hope I did it. All right, we'll give you a few more seconds here. I think about everybody who wants to respond responded, and I'm going to end it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let me share the results with everyone. So let's see here. Y'all see it here. So about, man, a lot more people think that women should try to consider guys in their friend zone than I initially thought. So about 65% thought that. A lot of people, almost overwhelmingly, a lot of people don't think that a man should have 25K. Now, I was wondering what the implications was for that, and I wanted to look up like the data and look to see how many black men even have 25K in their account, because that would, like, when you talk about a shortage of men, that just might wipe it out completely. I don't know. I haven't looked at the data on that in a while. So but there we go. That's the results for that. So people don't think that a man should have 25K. I think he's TK was closer to truth than I think a man should be established before he starts going after women like that, because we're spending too much time chasing the wrong things. But anyway, so this is the last slide here, y'all. And then this is going to really the question of the evening. And I'm just going to really get to it because a lot of women just genuinely want to know this question. So expectation, and Nika had put the expectation in the comments, and this is what it is. Expectation, we're talking about expectation because that's the title of this, when to expect sex. Expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. Expectations are unavoidable, y'all. So to say men shouldn't never expect sex it's unavoidable. It's an expectation. So when do men expect sex? So answer, I think it depends. And this is my opinion. Some guys, y'all can weigh in on this later in a few seconds here, but it depends on the circumstances, what the people met. Did y'all meet at church? I think a man that you meet at church, he's going to be, his expectation for sex is going to be, he's going to have a longer time frame than a guy that you met, like say at a nightclub, or say a guy that you met at a grocery store, or, with online, like the expectation is going to be different there. Like, where did you meet him online? Was it Christian Mingle? Was it POF? Was it on your Instagram or your social media where you're kind of carrying yourself a certain way? On your, so the expectation changes depending on the circumstances in which y'all met. I know this is a real complicated answer. It also depends on what the woman communicated or didn't communicate beforehand. If you didn't communicate anything, a guy's just going to assume that the way that he's been interacting with other women is going to be the same way he's going to be interacting with you in terms of the expectation. Well, if a guy says, well, it normally takes me about 5 dates, and then we're kind of getting it on, he's going to assume the same thing with you if you didn't communicate what your expectation was, where you at with it. And then two, like if you've been sending like spicy text messages saying, oh, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you talk all that stuff, a guy's going to expect that's going to happen. This is just what it is. So what did you communicate beforehand? But now let me just break it down. But under normal circumstances and in a normal dating context, I think most men expect a casual buildup of physical intimacy with the ability to score or have sex around the 3rd to 7th date. That's what I think is the general thought behind a lot of men. And that's from my personal experience. That's kind of like when it happens. And I'm not the type to force myself on a woman. A lot of I've had women thought it was strange, whereas, it's been like 4 or 5 dates and I haven't really, we haven't done anything, then think something's wrong. So, but the overall thing based off a lot of guys' experience, I think this is typically when it goes down. Just a quick word, because I know we have a lot of Christian women, but Christian women in group who are practicing abstinence, but find someone you're equally yoked with. Find someone, and by find someone, I kind of mean at church or volunteering or not online dating. If you're on POF, if you're on Tinder, if you're on these sites that are known for hooking up, what are you expecting to find there? I meet a lot of sisters doing that, a lot of Christian sisters. I had one sister hit me up and she's like, where this guy, I went out on a date and then he didn't, we just went out on one date and that was it. And I know her stance and where she's at on stuff. I said, how did you meet him? And she said, online. I said, okay, well, were y'all equally yoked? And she said, no. I said, there's your answer right there. If you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. That's why the dates didn't continue. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. And a lot of sisters think that, they can kind of pull the wool over guys' heads. And I think that women, if you're abstinent, you need to communicate that early on. Don't think that because, like you're going to get him to like you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I got to get him to like me first. And once he likes me, he's going to adopt my position. No. If a guy makes his position clear that he wants sex and he typically used to having sex around this time, this is where he's at with it, 2 things are going to happen. One, either he's just going to get like, he's going to get fed up with your position. He's just going to walk away and leave. Or two, you're going to compromise and fold, especially if you like the guy. Don't let it be a guy that you think's a good guy or a guy that you like and you say he's a good man, but he tells you, he's like, I want to have sex. You know, this is where I can have sex. You're like, oh, you're a good man, but you know you want to like practice abstinence. Don't think that, you know, so it's going to, you're setting yourself up for failure. That's all. I just wanted to say that because I see a lot of ladies do that. So just my last point here, as a man, I think we should avoid communicating our expectation for sex. I just think overall we should. I know people in the comments was suggesting that we should, but I don't think we shouldn't. Because women, for the most part, I think it's kind of like this. And what Tiffany said here, if I'm attracted to you and I want to have sex with you, I will. If we go on a date and you expect to have sex, whether I'm attracted to you or not, that's a turn off. That's why I think men overall, we should just don't even communicate it. Corey had asked, let's see here. If a man starts talking about sex before the date, two things may happen. You get ghosted, or she may feel like that's all you want for her. And that's absolutely true, Corey. I agree with you. So don't do it. It shouldn't be like that. We should be at a point where we can have these mature conversations. But to be honest, if you communicate an expectation, even if you have one, it's gonna turn a woman off majority of the time. So if a woman asks, just say, you know, we just gonna vibe. Just say, let's see where the vibe takes us. But then I think that men just trying to maybe gracefully ask her what her position is on it. Try to figure her out. And then kind of go from there. And then she says something that is not like a good timeline for you. You just know you just got to walk away. You just got to, you know, that's just kind of where it is with that. So that's the last thing, y'all. That was it. Let me stop the share. So there was a lot there. We still got a full house. Let's see here. If I stop the share, okay. So if you want to react, if you want to comment on something, we talked about dating in your lane. We didn't really talk about dating your lane. We just talked about the lane thing. We talked about hypergamy. We talked about sex. We talked about when should we expect sex or anything like that. So there was a lot there on the floor and on the table. So if you want to react, go ahead and there's a reaction button and you raise your hand, and then we'll get to you in the order that you raise your hand. Look at this quiet crowd tonight. All right, so I'm gonna have to start calling people and picking people out because y'all are all right. We got Bacchus. Bacchus always a brave heart. We got. I see a lot of folks. So there's a lot of topics, y'all. So dating in your lane, or women not knowing their lane, or do women know? I don't think women even need to know their lane, to be honest with you, because the women are just hypergamous. They're just going to try to pick the best catch that they can get. That's my personal position. We also talked about when to expect sex. Y'all just want to weigh in and give y'all opinion. Okay, we got some people. All right, so we're going to go with Bacchus, then Brandi, then Michael, then Nancy. And then the shy people, I guess y'all are just letting the regulars get it warmed up. All right, Bacchus, you're up. Let me change your view.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a lot to cover here. It's like each topic could be its own show.
Yeah.
But I just want to say something. I think, honestly, women are just survivalists. They're just going to go after who can give them the best life and survive. Basically, that's how I see it. And once you understand that, then you kind of understand, and you know what they're going to do is just my way of looking at it. I used to be mad. I used to think, oh, that's wrong that she's going after this guy and I'm the nice dude, whatever. Yeah, no, she's just doing what's best for her, as I should. I also call BS on that. You should have 25K in your bank account to date. Why? So the girl could just string you along on multiple dates and have you take her here, there, and everywhere and run down your 25K, and now you broke, you can't date. And that's BS, because if that was the case, she wouldn't be having babies by Jamarquavius, who got $5 to his name. So
yeah, I think the thought that TK had on that was, I kind of clipped it up so we didn't get the full context, but he was saying that if you have 25K, you're a lot more comfortable as a man. You're not sweating the $100 you just spent on a date. And then when you spend $100, you're like, man, I'm not getting nothing in return from her. Let me go ahead and try to get some. But if you have 25K or whatever it is, you start looking you look at money a little different, and you're a little more comfortable, so you're not as pressed. I think that was his overall thoughts on it.
Let me say something. My first year when I moved to Atlanta, I spent 15 grand on first dates.
Ooh.
So after that, I saved 15 grand the next year when I said, forget about it. So I get what you're saying. You're more comfortable if you have that kind of money. But still, you work hard for your money. Your money's your money. If you do it right, your money grows with you, for you, helps you, whatever. It not just be wasting it on strangers. If you're gonna waste it on strangers, donate to the bums on the street or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Donate it or reinvest it to help the kids or the family, whatever you want to do. People that just want to take it from you and not give anything back. So I get that. You got 25K in the bank or 100K or whatever the case may be. Well, and that $100 ain't nothing, but yet you still worked for that. And all she had to do was bat her eyes to get it from you.
Right.
I ain't really feeling it at all on that one.
I got you. Well, interesting take, and I get what you're giving a male perspective. So do you think, because you wrote in the comments, so you think that a woman, could you take a woman on a date, she should give you sex?
I don't think she owes me that. I could be sexually attracted to you and most definitely want to do something, and we go on a date and we get to know each other more, and you happen to be crazy. I was like, nah, I'm good. You did what to your exes? Nah, it's all right. I think if you have no sexual interest in me, if this is just taking up time because I'm bored, if he's out of town and he don't do nothing for me, I'm just seeing what's out there. If you're just wasting my time and you know it, then yeah, I'm not with it. But if you're not interested in me, don't go out with me. You already know if you can see yourself making out with me. Plus I got these big ass soup coolers. So you already know, just like we fantasize about women, like, oh, she's cute, I can see myself with her. Women fantasize about us. Oh, he's handsome, I can see myself with him. But if you already know off top that you're not with it, then don't even bother. Don't waste each other's time.
All right, there we go. We heard from Bacchus. Let me respond to something in the chat real quick. Nishana Mitchell said, how does someone determine their lane? Because I've dated rich men, broke men, and I want to figure out my lane.
Ooh, I know that one. You determine your lane by looking at your friend zone. Those dudes you threw in your friend zone, that's your lane right there.
That's an interesting
because the rich man ain't in your friend zone. Jamarquavius ain't in your friend zone, and the 6-foot basketball player ain't in your friend zone.
That's a good way to break it down, because I kind of shared in the presentation, Nishana, you look at your looks, you look at your quality of life, and you look at your character, and then you try to find a man that you match with more or less. And and I'd say this because you say you date a rich man, broke man, and I shared it in the presentation. A rich man and a broke man, they still going to want to have sex. So a rich man is going to want to have sex with women across the spectrum. So it's hard for women to determine their lane just by evaluating the sort of men who want to take them out on a date. You really just have to really do like a external assessment of yourself, or internal, whatever, and just look at yourself and then figure out what you match with out there in the dating market. But it's also hard for women because I think a lot of women are hypergamous and they want to try to get the top guy. So it's hard for women, to be honest. And y'all don't have to face rejection, so y'all don't deal with it. But all right, Brandi, you are up.
I had such a good point to make, and y'all threw me for a loop. But like, just to get back on the topic of dating in your lane, I still don't know that. I feel like I personally dated down, and that's why things haven't worked out for me. I think that when you get in a relationship, people do measure what they feel comfortable with. And in that regard, I think that people are only going to or should date people that they're attracted to. I have to go back to that again, because why are you using a dude for food? Like, that is so beyond me. But I'm gonna let y'all have it until I have a bigger point to make. Stop dating people you're not sexually attracted to, because I love sex and I want to have it all the time. Stop wasting your time and mine. Okay, that's all.
When do you think men should expect sex?
Well, hell, just like what was one of our chat? If I vibe and we're vibing, I might want it on the first day. I have no qualms about that. But don't pull your dick out on my couch watching before we even get the Netflix up. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's weird. But a lot of people I found are very super sexual, and that's a little unusual for me coming from a small country town. So it's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? That makes me go back and retreat back into my cave. Like, I don't know what the hell happened to you that you want to just fuck all the time. Ooh, sorry. But that's kind of unusual for me. Do you know what I mean? But I do love sex a bunch.
There you go. All your inbox might be lit up. Just you might want to mute your meetup notifications after that statement right there. But there we go. We heard from Brandi. She said she has a larger point to make. She'll chime back in. All right, Michael, you're up.
Good evening, everybody. First things first, hopefully everybody had a great day. To the point, the part that really frustrates, what bothers me. So, Cardo, at your event, when we was at main event, I asked about 6 to 7 women, hey, are there any guys here would you be interested in? None of the ladies said they were interested in any of the guys. The one girl that said she had an interest, she said, I'm not going to tell him I'm interested in him. He's going to come and find me. That was the words that came out of her mouth. Yeah. So I was sitting there holding court. I was like, so you expect for all these men who are here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate tables, and we are supposed to figure you out and you just not making known that you have an interest in him? And I was like, man, a lot of women move that way. They're interested in the guy and they're waiting for this guy to say hello to them, but the guy doesn't know. And then these other guys who are sure about themselves, who is not waiting, they see that and they get scared, or they put them in the friend zone. And that's what I said about most of the guys you like are in the friend zone, but because these guys don't turn you on or you don't think they're exciting enough, you sit there thinking like, wait, this man has a purpose. His purpose is me. And they drop the ball every single time.
But they have to they're gonna have to be turned on by the guy that they want. I mean, you can't blame them for that because you're gonna want to be turned on by her.
Right. So for instance, let's use that theory, right? How often do we say, and we'll just use the theory of a person of a certain size. We say, well, they drop a certain level of pounds, we can see what happens. Meaning that there's some level of cuteness, but there's an issue on the one end that may be a deal breaker for you. The thing is that we keep moving the goalposts each and every time. The goalpost is never the same. We keep moving it until they look at and find that hole in that person and say, you know what? It's like we look for the holes instead of just saying, can I fill in the hole?
Mm-hmm. You know, the difficult thing, Michael, with you say you were holding court and you're talking to ladies and asking about interest. To be honest, like it's interest to me is not even enough to really do anything. Because if we want to talk about interest at the event, I saw it, man. All the beautiful women there. We would say interested. I was interested all over the place. But to me, that's not enough to even justify a date, because we can go on dates till we're blue in the face. And as a guy, you can spend money and you're just out trying to date every woman you're interested in. That's why I say, to me, I got to get to the point of liking before I even, at this point now, like I have to know you like me and I have to like you before I even engage or pursue in a date or to take anything further, because I'm not going to date you to get you to like me. You have to like me first. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And I think we all just need to be approachable, make friends. I'm super approachable. I got my IG right there on my little thing. I got, I start this meetup. I'm all over. I'm going to my own meetups that, the events that we do. I'm going to other meetups that are not my meetup. I think we all just need to be more approachable and do like we used to do in high school, do like folks do in church, get to know people before we start engaging them for dates and stuff like that. Go ahead though, Mike, I'll let you respond.
No, but that's the point. When we're talking in a group setting, how many people are making themselves approachable? I mean, it's one thing to come in there with good faith. It's another thing coming in as a bad actor. And then if you come in as a bad actor and you're just scanning the field to see who's the one that's being weird, instead of saying, you know what, I have an interest in going to this event. I'm going to that event to see who I could meet and grow with. I'm not going to like, hey, how you doing? And then get something to eat, get something to drink and go. No, it's about building bonds. It's about building that. And if we're not doing that, or if we don't know how to communicate or be direct, that's a problem right there.
Krishna said, if you're interested, go after them. My auntie and god sister did it. I think as a woman, you're interested, man, you got to be a little, because like I said, it's in this new modern dating world, it gets difficult for a man. Because like I said, I can just do this whole approaching and we can, every woman I'm interested in is physical, it looks off the rip, you know what I mean? So we're just talking about looks. There are a lot of beautiful women, like, let me date you. But at some point I got to know more, you know what I mean? Like, so that was my problem with online dating. The first conversation we had was online dating. And I was just dating all these women. And as I get to know them, I'm like, oh, I can't really do that. That's not really my speed. But great commentary, Michael. You made a good point. So I think we all need to think about this. This is what this conversation is about, y'all. We really need to think and consider what we're doing here and be more intentional.
And one more thing. And ladies, if y'all see a guy up here, DM them. Be intentional. Like, let's not just like, we're adults here. Like, I'm 40. We're adults here. Like, let's act like adults and make shit happen. Excuse my French. Make shit happen.
There you go. I agree with you 100%. 100%. But all right, Nancy, you are up.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I'll start off with a few points. I've been taking notes so I don't lose track. But to answer the question initially, like when to expect sex, I think when both people have expressed that they have consent and they have desire to have sex, that's when you should. So I'm really big on consent, and I think we cannot talk about sex without seeing the C word. And so I want to just throw that out there and make sure that's clear. And so when both people are like, let's do this, I think that's when they should do it. And now to kind of flip it a little bit, I think just to play devil's advocate or whatever, we're asking kind of an interesting question, but I think it might be the wrong question, because I think it's more so about when should you have a conversation about our sexual needs and desires and wants and when we anticipate it. And I like how you brought up that bringing it up too soon could be problematic for some people, or, and I also think it's the way people bring this conversation up, right? Because I've had people bring it up in different ways. I typically like to have conversations about that because it's an area I'm really comfortable with, and I'm really clear on who I am and what my needs are in that lane. And I think it's important when you're dating to express that. And so
I think you would be, as a woman, Nancy, I think you would be the exception, because most women, they're not, they don't really want to have that conversation.
I agree. I totally agree. And it's unfortunate. I think it's really unfortunate, because I think this is a conversation I shared in the comments that we should be having. We should be talking about this. I talk about sex probably about 50% of my day due to the nature of my work. So I'm really comfortable with that. And when I've had partners and I've asked questions or brought up things, they're always shocked. They're like, no woman has ever brought up these questions or thought about these things with me. And so I think because we're not having this conversation, we're making assumptions, or we're going based off of what your church say, what your mama say, what your daddy said, whatever, or what your last partner did. And I think that can be really dangerous territory for a lot of people. And the other point is dating in your lane, like you were speaking about as well. I prescribe more to equally yoked alignment. I'm not religious at all in any sense, but I think that alignment is so important, and communication is so important. And then for my personal life, just to share that, before I even think about sex, there's things that I need. So again, going back to when should somebody expect sex? Well, for me, it's when certain check boxes are met, right? And for me, I'll share those. So safety is really important to me. I want to feel safe with that person. Also want to have a conversation about STIs. I know the stats for Atlanta, for Georgia in general, it's scary. And so I want to make sure I'm having conversations with people about that. Having a conversation with my partners about their sexual needs and desires is really important before we even have sex. I want it to be a good interaction. Therefore, we should talk about what I need you to do so that it can be good. And then also emotional connectivity. I personally am very demisexual, so I really want to feel connected to somebody. And oftentimes when I have those three things, I'm ready to go. And so there's no time limit for me about I need 4 dates, or I need 1 date, or I need whatever. It's did we check these really important boxes? And then if so, all right, let's do it.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much. Great commentary. Guys, I hear y'all don't listen to these ladies talking about they want to talk about it and have a conversation about it. Don't do it. Don't fall for the trap. You're gonna talk yourself out of what you're trying to get. So just don't do it, guys. Just be a little more be suave with it. You know what I mean? Ask her opinions and then just kind of react based off of that. But don't jump out there and talk yourself out of what what it is you're going for. All right, Paul, you're up. And y'all, if we can, because we got a lot of people trying to weigh in. At 10 o'clock, we just open it up and we stop the recording. We have a free flowing conversation. But if we can, just try to keep our commentary a little, just try to, just wrap it up as we can, just so we can, everybody can get in there, because I got a lot of folks I definitely want to hear from. Go ahead, Paul.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Paul. I just want to say, it kind of just sounds like, a lot of men particularly aren't focusing on themselves. You really got to build something before you're approaching a woman. I'm 33 now. The days of me chasing tail is done, because I've been scarred by women and I've scarred women. That shit will come back to you. So right now I'm in a place right now where I'm just focusing on my business, trying to get my money right. I went through school, trying to be more social. When I get those things lined up, I'm attracting a higher caliber of women. I don't know how to explain it. They're more educated. I glow differently. I went through therapy. So I talk differently. I read my books. I do my meditation. I eat right. I hit the gym. I don't have to go out there and chase nothing. I can have a normal conversation with a woman. And, within that conversation, we know if we click or not. Sex is like on the back of my mind. Like I want to figure out who you are first. I need to know, if you're emotionally stable before I get in bed with you. Because the last thing I want is to get in bed with your demons. And that's a real thing out here. So, that's kind of what I just wanted to say. Maybe instead of focusing on just having sex, focus on yourself. Everybody, everybody just takes the time and heals. Focus on themselves, work on their communication skills. You won't have to be nervous. Like, if you get rejected, I think somebody said it in the chat. If you get rejected, it's not the end of the world. Why would you want to be with someone that doesn't want to be with you? You want to be someone's number one, right? So these are things that you guys got to do. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's the inner work. Nobody really wants to do it. They want that instant shit. Sorry, my French, man.
You're good.
They just want it right now. And like a lot of men, I don't know if it's just the way that we've been socially conditioned. They expect the sex right off the bat because I guess that's what's in the culture now. But women are emotional creatures. I don't like to use that word, but I'm just gonna use that word. Women are emotional creatures. They need to feel us first. They need to be able to have a conversation with us first before we can just jump in there. Some women are about you jumping in there, and hey, if it works for them, it works for them. But from my experience, especially out here in Toronto, you really got to take a slow grind to it because women are confident.
I knew I was picking up an accent.
Huh?
So I knew I was picking up on an accent.
I didn't get an accent, man.
Yeah, there's an accent, definitely accent. But let me say that because you're in Toronto, so you don't know, you wouldn't know. But yeah, I agree with it about everything you said, man. I think you hit the nail on the head. And I'm hearing some folks in the comments are saying simp. How is this man a simp when he's saying he's putting himself first, focusing on himself, trying to focus on his character, going to therapy, doing all these things? He's not really focused on chasing.
Hey, they can call me whatever they want at the end of the day.
I see
happy,
an
you know what I'm saying? Like the people that I'm dating are happy too.
I see an evolved brother who's kind of have his mind, to me, a simp is a guy who spends money trying to get a woman to like him. Like that's a simp to me. But this is a gentleman saying he's not chasing anything. He's being himself. He's elevating. He's attracting what it is that he wants. I'm trying to do the same thing more or less. Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you respond to him. And if you can, Michael, ask your question real quick, and Paul respond to him real quick.
Paul, you said something about not taking on their demons and things of that nature. So what happens when everything you do is go right, but then there's a level of depression? Is a depression a demon? And how do you handle that?
What do you mean a level of depression?
So let's say
from who?
On the woman's side. Let's say she go through something that makes her not sexually active or not attentive or not available. How do you process that?
Is she like giving that to me?
Yeah. Should you in a relationship with her?
Well, I'm emotionally stable, like I'm secure. So if there is an issue, we can talk about it. If it has nothing to do with me, I'll probably recommend what I'm telling everybody in this group to do, to go do your inner work, go to therapy, go find a way to get rid of those demons. I mean, as an adult, everybody's responsible for their own emotions.
And
there's only so much that I can do for a person.
And
I can support you, but how much motivation do you need from me before you're healthy?
All right, y'all, we got to move along. I mean, that was his response, but all right. Makita, if you don't have your camera on, y'all try to make sure you get your camera on, because those we're going to skip over you. And we got a lot of guys wanting to weigh in. Ladies, y'all go ahead and raise your hand. Y'all get in the conversation too. I want it to be like I want to get both perspectives on it. So I'm not going to, because we got like a few guys in the queue. I might have to skip over some guys and get a lady in there just so we can have a balance and go back and forth. But go ahead, Makita, you're up.
It's Makita.
Makita, I'm sorry.
It's fine. I get Makita all the time. My first comment is on the 25K thing. If you got 25K, you better put a down payment on a house and start bringing in passive income. That's dumb. Do not have 25K in your bank account. That is a waste. You could be getting interest on that. Do not put 25K in your bank account unless you're a multimillionaire. Don't do that. That's not good advice, especially financial advice. I have a degree.
If assets are expensive, now the real estate market is super high.
Don't buy a house in the Atlanta area. Buy a house in another part of the country that you know is going to go up.
Right. We're going off track here. Go ahead. We're getting off track a little bit.
I'm not trying to give you financial advice, but I just needed to comment on that. Mm-hmm. Overall, my thoughts are men should never expect sex. Sex should not be expected. That is a bad mindset. If you want to have sex with someone, then communicate to them. And if they don't like it, what?
Did you catch the definition of expectation?
What was the definition of expectation?
It's the likelihood that something is bound to happen, or the desire or the thought that something is likely to happen. I mean, to me, expectations
both
are
agree. Like, I agree with the idea of consent. If you, I mean, like, if you've never heard of the yes means yes scenario, it means both parties agree to it. Both parties are interested in it. Both parties have talked about what they mean when they say, what are you going to do? What do you want to happen? Because it just depends. For me, I'm very vocal about sex, and I tell people, I've told men that I've dated. I haven't dated a lot of men. I got married young. But generally, when I was dating, I was very honest about what I wanted and who I liked to be around and who I wanted to date. And I think that people should be more honest about what they want, because if you get caught up lying, people are going to figure it out. If you really want to be with someone, you can't pretend to be with someone for a lifetime. Like, that's not going to work out. If you're pretending to be someone else, it's not going to work out. That's my opinion.
Thank you so much, M. You said your name, and I'm going to forget it and mess it up again. All right, Jay, you're up.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Man, Paul, you brought out all the buzzwords tonight, bro. Kudos to you. All the buzzwords, you hit them all on the head. I don't think you're a simp. I just think that's some real pandering type of, rhetoric, in my opinion.
What was okay? If you could, I know you got a lot more stuff you probably want to get to. What was pandering about what he said? Help me out.
The demons, the therapy, she got to get right with herself. He's right with himself. He can't multitask. He hurt women hurt him. Bro, that's so much mumbo jumbo. I don't even want to get into it. Like, that's not real. All respect to him. That's like things women like to hear. That doesn't make any sense.
All right.
But let me move along to what I want to talk about. I had little comments. As far as what you're talking about with Kevin Samuels, I think there's more to that than him wanting you to expect sex that particular night. I think there should be an escalation towards sex. So if you're dating a woman, or you're dating a man and there's no sexual energy, or you don't think you're gonna have sex with them, like I think Bacchus said, we need to date women that actually like us. And I think that's hard for us to discern in this modern day. We can't discern who actually likes us and who's just there just to waste our time. And as far as when you talk about having money and there's 25,000 and how men complain about not getting enough money to get women, I think men more complain about the men that don't have money getting all the women, and the men who don't have money having all the kids. And I think it's more based on not really socioeconomic status, but more of a status in popularity or status in height that attracts women rather than how much money you actually have. Because, I already talk about my personal, but I got more women when I had less money. And when I made more money, it's kind of like reverse. So I'll just keep it like that. I got more, but I'm gonna just leave it. That was a pandering episode right there from Mr. Paul. That was like beyond. Let me say anything else. Yeah, man, 25K to date, that's ridiculous, man. People with $5 to get more pussy. Excuse me.
All right, there you go. We heard from Jay, and I'm still. To me, he sounded like a brother won't really sweating it like that, man. He sounded evolved to me, but everybody has different thoughts and different opinions. Nana, do you have
I just want to say I completely co-sign with Jay. I think he's actually right. He basically said what I was trying to say, but yeah, it was a little bit pandering on that. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off and jump in.
Oh, you're good. You're good. All right. So a lot of guys think he was pandering. I didn't see it. I missed it. But hey, if you don't, we're gonna skip over you, Nana. So we just had Jay. We're gonna go to Melody, then we'll go to Corey, because I'm trying to go guy, girl. Nana, you don't have your camera on, so if you can get your camera on, we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Melody.
Hey, I think y'all are hating on Paul because we like Paul, so y'all can just keep hating. It's okay. But I
can't wait to see how many dates Paul get after this, and all y'all loving him. I want reports after this. So go ahead.
He in Toronto, so probably
who's in the DM?
Right, I want to see the DM
pictures
pictures with Paul. Like for real. Y'all talking all that talk. Like, Paul, you're so great. I'll put you in the friend zone, okay? Please, fuck out of here.
Hold on a second. Hold on. What is a friend zone, man? Really, we created that.
Hey y'all, we eating into Melody's time. We're gonna have a free flowing conversation in a few, but let's let Melody get out what she wanted to say, and then y'all can go back and forth about the pandering and the simping and all that stuff. But let's let Melody get her point out.
Okay, I have a few things. I think y'all already know what I think. I think that people should wait until they're married to have sex. Okay, I think there's only, well, let me get back, stay on topic. You say when to expect sex. I think that there's only 2 times a person can expect sex. That's just if they pay for it. You know, if they pay for a service, then of course the other person has to deliver. And then I think the other time is if they make a real commitment to that person and back that commitment up with some sort of contract, which I know a lot of men complain about marriage and they say, oh, who cares about the paperwork? Well, you signed paperwork whenever you bought that house. You signed paperwork when you got your job. You signed paperwork when you started your business with the United States of America. So I think we're all fine with dealing with the government. Okay. And the last point I want to make is I don't think just I know, Carla, you said that men shouldn't talk about sex too soon. I don't think a woman should tell a man that she's abstinent or that she's waiting until marriage, because I think that makes her a conquest. I don't even think a woman should have a sex talk with a man. Personally, I wouldn't. I'm not going to sit down and basically tell a man, oh, okay, well, I'm open to having sex after the 3rd date. Well, okay, well, he's going to stick around to the 3rd date, and then he's going to have sex, and then he may or may not be there after that. That's almost like you think about a lion. Okay, they're trained, their nature is to pursue. I don't think the prey is going to come to that lion and say, well, I'm going to run to the right and to the left. I'm going to jump. Nobody's going to give you all a game plan and make it easy for you. You know, like if you're a man, you need to find a way to get into a woman's panties if that's what you want to do. I don't think a woman should sit down and make it easy for a man, you know, because
I didn't suggest that they should. Did you?
Oh, not you. Okay. I'm sorry, but no, I'm saying a lot of men think that. They think that a woman should just tell them up front what they're going to do
about
sexually.
The abstinence thing.
Yeah, about the abstinence thing. And I don't think women should even tell a man that she's abstinent.
Okay, so
because
Melly,
it makes her some sort of conquest.
Where would you be meeting these men at that you don't tell that you're abstinent? When you shared a story about your dating experience in the comments, and you said that you went out with this gentleman. Did you meet him like online? How did you meet him? How do you meet your dates?
I bumped into him at a grocery store, and he approached me at a grocery store, and he actually, we did talk. We had some conversations. Like you said, I do try my best to get to know people, but it's not my fault when, you know, folks don't, or they're not upfront, you know. After him, I did literally start asking every man, are you married? And if he says no, I say, well, okay, well, are you married on paper? You know, and I actually had 2 men tell me at that point, well,
so what's your typical way? What's your typical way of meeting men for dates? Like, how are you doing it?
Bumping into them, you know.
So no online stuff?
No.
Okay.
No, I used to do online, but people online did expect sex.
Hold on. So, oh no, because we're not gonna get into her personal history. She already shared in the comments that she doesn't want to disclose anything like that.
I don't want to disclose anything like that, but
I think
can I say one more thing? One more thing.
Go ahead.
When I speak, I'm not speaking from a place of having, you know, had many sexual partners and just being bitter and stuff like that. I'm actually pretty naive when it comes to dating. I don't have a lot of experience. So that's not my story. I come from a place of just observation and just spiritual reasons, and just not liking to see people being hurt and taken advantage of. I think a lot of times people think I'm bitter or whatever, and it's like, that's not my story, you know?
Right.
So
I think if a woman is abstinent and she's abstinent for religious reasons, she needs to date and pursue or only entertain men who are she's equally yoked with. I think a lot of women who are Christian women who are abstinent, they're entering the dating market and they're expecting some kind of weird result. And they're kind of like, I don't know. I think you not communicating your stance on abstinence is it's creating a lot of the turmoil that we see out here now, because it's like guys are saying, man, like people have different things in their mind. It's hard. It's a deep conversation, but I definitely think women should communicate their stance, and they should date when men they're equally yoked with. I just feel like a lot of women they know what men are wanting and looking for, and they know that these men aren't really for them, but they're still entertain these guys and have these guys spend time, resources, and all this stuff. If they,
But
I don't agree with that.
Sex doesn't equal love, though. You're saying that they're spending time with men who they don't plan on having sex with. That does not mean that she's not interested because she doesn't want to have sex before marriage. It means she's trying to respect herself and that she has standards.
All right.
It has nothing to do with the man. I think sometimes men make things about them, and it's like it has nothing to do with a man. She may want to do it, but she may have standards. Not saying that she won't fall, or she.
But I'm saying that those standards should be communicated versus having a guy spin his wheels for something. If you're working toward liking and then loving him and then having sex with him, and his agenda is liking you, then having sex with you, and then loving you, y'all are doing two different things, and you're not communicating what you're doing, and he's not communicating what he's doing. So I think everybody needs to communicate, and I think not doing that, I think it's causing a lot of problems.
But you said earlier that men shouldn't communicate that they want to have sex. So I'm kind of confused.
I mean, it's assumed that we want to have sex. I said we shouldn't communicate our expectation. I say we just gonna vibe.
I don't think women should either. If I expect to wait until marriage, I'm not gonna say nothing because I don't want a man chasing me just so he can feel like he conquered something. Because I get that a lot. People just on a conquest, and I'm like, I'm over that,
Right. Well, all right, there you go. There's Melly's sake. Corey, you're up.
Okay, well, I mean, first thing that I would say, about the dating and sex is, for me, personally, it's just my opinion, but what I do is just pretty much I communicate, and I make sure that we both on the same page, as far as with that, and then I listen, and see that's what a lot of men don't do. Listen, they don't listen to what the women are saying, okay, or the girl that they talking to, or that they are going to get ready for a date for. So that's first, it's just the communicating. And then, when we finally meet up, then I just see how the vibe, because I pay for the dinner, I pay for the entertainment and all that. And, we just vibe, and the vibe is good and everything is just cool. Then, I mean, there's no problem with that. And then after the date and the food and all that is over with, if something ends up happening, like we get attracted to each other, then there's nothing wrong with that. And if it doesn't, then that's okay too, because I'm not going to expect for it to happen. But if it does, I mean, because a man, they have their needs and a woman have their needs also. So it's like both. So if both of them just feel that same vibe, then there's nothing wrong with it. And if it ends up happening that day, the same day, or that same night, excuse me about that, then I'm not going to treat a woman like a slut or nothing like that. I'm going to treat her like a woman. I'm going to say, okay, yeah, we did this, and we can still communicate. We can still date more. But if we don't, then that's okay. And if I don't for that night, then, and we still communicate and we still have the same vibe, I still go the same way. So, I mean, that's just my thing on that with dating sex. I mean, it could be just whenever two people are comfortable with each other and they can actually vibe and they want the same thing. And with me, just like what you're saying, I know what no is. I mean, we get started and she says, no, I don't want to go any further. Okay, all right, that's cool. I'll stop, just like that. And that's one of the things that's been a big problem, because men, they start going and they don't want to stop, and then it ends up going a little bit further than what it should. So
there we go. Thanks, Corey. We can go to a lady. We'll go back to Nancy because we're trying to get back and forth. We just don't want to flood it, y'all. Well, you know what? Let me go to Kristen because we haven't heard from Kristen yet, Nancy. I'm sorry.
No,
Kristen,
that's cool.
Kristen, go ahead, Kristen.
Hey everyone, sorry, I had to turn my camera on. So my stance, I definitely agree with a lot of points people were saying, what Melody was saying. I definitely think communication is definitely important. So if you're two grown consenting adults and you want to get down the first date, go ahead and do you. But I don't think it's like, I don't know, because I see the comments when people are making different opinions about things and their stance on things. So I don't think it's right to say, like, if somebody is waiting until marriage to question, like a lot of y'all were doing with Melody, I don't think that was cool or at all, because there are people that were men. I know men that have waited until marriage to have sex. I know men that have waited for women for 6, 7, 8, 9 months. So if people decide to wait, that's on them. That's okay. It's no judgment. But there are people out there that do it. So to say that all men want sex, I don't think that's the case, because I know men that have waited until marriage. I know men that have been sexually active and been with hundreds of women, but when they got with the right one, they were like, okay, I'll wait. So that's what I want to say on that, because I saw comments when Melanie was saying what she was saying. It was very disrespectful in my opinion.
All right, there you go. I don't know. I mean, you said all men don't. Well, I think the thing is time frame is what we're looking at. All men want sex, but some men may want it quicker than others. I mean, there may be some men who may want to wait until marriage. I'm just saying that those men are few and far between. And we look at the stats, and I shared it one time about when it looks at people's religious activity, women are twice as likely to be like involved with religious activity. And if we transfer that over to expectations of sex, we can, if we just do the same figures and same numbers, that there are half as many men who are willing to wait until sex. So I just bring that point up to say that there are less men. So you're just, it's just, we just gotta, I think we just all need to get real and think about what's going on out here. And like I said, I don't think that if that's what she wants to do, Melody or whoever, whatever lady wants to do, I just think it just needs to be communicated is what I'm saying, because and even, I mean, eventually a guy's gonna find out if it's date 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and nothing's happening, he's gonna figure out eventually. So, but I just say, why even waste his time at all? If you know what I mean, why waste his time? Why make him go through the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th date, spending $60 a day? So we're at about $300, $400, $500. Then just to find out that, you know, it ain't really hitting on nothing. So why not communicate early? I don't see the point in manipulating and being deceptive. Just communicate where you're at on stuff. The guy, you know, he's not, don't just this thing of trying to make a guy like you first, and then all of a sudden he's just going to change who he is and go that way. If a guy wants to have sex on, you know,
well, I don't think
I wasn't responding directly to you, Chris, and I was just talking about in general.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. I'll let you respond, because I was talking about
yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. Communication is definitely important, but I think and I'm not speaking for myself, but I'm just speaking for sometimes women, they may have been hurt before, they may have met a really good guy that they really like that left them, you know what I'm saying, because of the fact that they said they were like, okay, I'm gonna wait until marriage to have sex, and then all of a sudden the guy's like, okay, that's all I wanted, so I'm not gonna date you anymore. So I think some women, I'm not speaking for myself, but I think some women may be concerned having that initial conversation with the man, because they may think that's all they really want. And then when they say all that, it's like, okay, let me just go on and get what I want to get. So I think that's why someone may not want to have that conversation.
But why wouldn't you want, like, if a guy just wants sex and you tell him, hey, I'm abstinent, wouldn't you want to cut him? Wouldn't you want to just cut him off and for him to kind of go on about his business so you can find the guy you actually want?
I agree, but I think sometimes some women may have an issue having those conversations. I'm upfront. I agree with you, Kyle, I'm upfront, but I think some women may have an issue because they've been hurt before, or because they have really liked a guy and they may have not wanted to have sex with them, but they may have wanted to continue to get to know them. So I think there's just a fine line. I agree being upfront, but there are sometimes women get hurt before and they're like, okay, I don't want to even have this conversation because they're not going to even want to get to know me for who I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a bad way to think about it, because those guys you kind of want to eliminate. I just don't get it. If I was a woman, I wouldn't waste my time. Like, if I'm abstinent and if I know that the majority of men out here are not abstinent, I'm letting guys know, that way I don't waste their time. I don't waste their resources. I don't waste my time. I can be available for a man whose beliefs align with mine. Why waste time with men whose beliefs, whose practices don't align with yours? What's the point of doing that? That's really it's another conversation, but it's awful. And that's why we're having a lot of these conversations. It's like we're creating the turmoil that we're complaining about. We're the ones creating it. We're the ones creating all of this dysfunction. Anyway, we just heard from a lady. Go ahead, Will, you're up. All right, Will.
I'm good.
Can you turn your video on, brother?
Oh shit, man, I'm goddamn. Hold on.
Watch your language, brother. But I'll let you fly. But go ahead. We'll get your camera on, get your audio straight. Just watch your language, and we'll let you rock.
Man, my bad. Hold on. Let me see.
Oh, you struggle mode, man. We got to move it along. I'm gonna go to.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna go to Vontarius.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Go ahead. What is going on tonight? What is up tonight, man? What's going on tonight? Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Oh man. Yeah, so I feel like actually y'all are right. One of the underlying barriers for a lot of these relationships that we're looking at it is communication. My thing is, as far as the financial prerequisites for a male, what exactly is there a double standard for like women as well? Like, should women have a certain amount of financial backing in their assets or in their bank accounts before even considering dating a male?
I think that men and women select each other for different things. I don't think men select women for finances. I think women are more likely to select a man for finances. So I mean, maybe we're talking about requirements. Maybe they have a requirement, but it's not financial.
Don't be saying women connect with men off of finances, because most of us find somebody we're attracted to and connect off of love, the same love that's communicated to us from our mother and father. So finances have shit to do with it.
Most don't, Brandi. I shared the data and the stats for long-term relationships and companionship resources. I think was second to I think resources was first for women when it comes to long-term. But go ahead, Vontarius. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead, finish up your point.
Yeah, that was really just it for me. And I just want to know if there was some type of double standard, because most men are the ones taking women out on dates. Women aren't generally taking men out on dates. So I just want to understand if there's a double standard there.
Good thought. Yeah, I see what you're saying there with when you tie in dating with it. All right, we just heard from a guy. D, you're up. D, we're going to hear from you. Nancy. Go ahead, Nancy. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, hold up now.
Go ahead.
Mine is pretty quick though, but I wanted to reply to a few things. I feel like if you're in the traditional dating world, it is absolutely delusional for you to think that the topic of sex is not going to come up. You are out of your mind. Don't date. Like, just don't date. And there's been times in my life where I just didn't date because I didn't want to have sex, or I didn't want that to be pressured. I didn't want that to even come up, right? And not that the two equate. Please don't misconstrue my words. The two do not equate. Just because you're dating does not mean there has to be sex. However, you are absolutely delusional, and maybe you need to go date somebody else who is on the same page as you. I totally disagree with what Melody said, like severely. Like, that is just absurd to think that you're going to be able to be with somebody. And we're all entitled to our opinions. I want to be clear that I think everybody should live their truth. Nancy gonna live hers. Please live yours. But to think that you can put yourself into a traditional setting when you have, for this dating era, non-traditional views, for instance, waiting for marriage till sex, a small percentage of people, we know the data, are practicing that. Why put yourself even in that position? So back to what you were saying, Ricardo, about dating in your lane. If you're celibate, date celibate people.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, why would, but Nancy, you're I don't.
Can I respond?
You can't
I'm
speak
shook right now.
Hold on, Nancy. Hold on, everybody. Hold on.
Can I respond?
I'll let you respond, but let me ask Nancy a question. I'll let you respond. You can't speak for all women, Nancy, but why? Because Melody's thought process is a lot more common than it's not. And I mentioned that it's creating a lot of the turmoil that we see.
Yes.
Why are some women doing that though? Like, because why is that? I hypothesize that women are doing it because they think that they're going to get a man to like them, and then eventually he's going to set her standards. But why is that why you think women are doing it?
I think it's just, I'll just speak to what I know, but I think it's just a terrible thought process. And to even say like, we're not going to talk about sex or address, that is so shitty, because I want to know about what this potential, I only date men. So I want to know what this man thinks about his 5-year plan, thinks about fitness and health, thinks about all of these things. So to think that I'm going to get those questions asked and those needs met, and he's not going to perhaps get his desires or questions met is absurd. Also, there's no such thing in my book as too much communication. So like saying we should not talk about something is absolutely absurd. And again, I use this word on purpose, delusional. Don't date, stay single. Like, focus on that. And there's a flaw. I find a really big flaw in this waiting till marriage for sex. I understand religious trauma. Okay. And I'm just going to say that. And so I understand religious trauma. And I think a lot of that comes from that. And I struggle living down here in the Bible Belt. Also, I'm very knowledgeable in religions. I'm very knowledgeable in sex and sexuality. And those two things fight. And so I think there's a constant struggle. And I think at the end of the day, stay in your lane. If that's something that you want to do, there's nothing wrong with that. However, putting that into this category of dating, you're going to come out with problems every single time and cause harm on both ends.
All right, we're going to let Melody respond.
Okay, Nancy, look, just because you're thirsty for sex does not mean everybody else is. Okay, and the next thing is, I never said that.
You know my body count. My body count.
Excuse me. Thank you. Okay, I never said that we should not talk about sex. Okay, actually, Cardo said that a man should not talk about sex.
Yes, you did. We can rewind this later, and we can, because I wrote a quote down. Okay, next.
Next is, you don't even know me, my dear, so calm down. Okay, I don't know you. But I never said that we should not talk about sex. I said that I personally do not feel that women should tell a man what her sexual, she shouldn't give a man a game plan. I don't think she should reveal to a man that she said she wants to be abstinent. Let me say this too. Maybe I should get to the heart of why I'm saying what I'm saying. Nobody knows what they're gonna do until they do it. So I think it's foolish for a woman to go into a relationship telling a man, I'm abstinent, I'm a virgin. I don't think she should do that. I don't think a woman should tell a man that I'm gonna wait until I get married. You don't know what you're gonna do. That may be your intention, but, and that's my, it may be your intention, but it's like, nobody knows what they're gonna do because nobody is perfect. Humans are going to human. So I just think it's not a wise thing, because if that woman goes to that man talking about, I'm waiting until marriage, that man is gonna say, okay, well, I guess it's me against God. So that man is gonna see her as a conquest, and he's gonna do all he can to get in her pants. And when he does, he's gonna feel like, oh, okay, so she put me before her God. She put
How do
me
you
before her religion.
how do you know how
understand?
a man, hold on, Melly, how do you know how a man's gonna feel once he does that?
Because I've had men tell me that. They told me they don't like when women come to them trying to act all high and mighty. Oh, I'm gonna wait until marriage. And they said, many women say that and then they fall, and then a woman looks like a fool to them. So that taught me it's not wise to tell a man what you're gonna do. So people can talk about sex all they want to. Nancy, if you want to be sexually liberated and you want to have sex to the sun and back, that's your business, okay? But all I'm saying is, for me, based on my experience, I found that it just wasn't all that wise, because you end up getting used and played. And if you don't keep your word, you look like a fool, okay? And then I don't think that, well, I know I'm not going out with a man and holding back sex to get him to like me. And I don't think him getting to know me is a waste of his time. Like, if he's in it for the wrong reasons and I'm not having sex with him, he knows how to either get on one knee or get to going. Like, that's not my problem. I don't make men's problems my problem, and that's just me.
All right, hold on, everybody. Y'all, we can't, there's a lot of people who want to weigh in, and I know some folks are triggered by Melody. I'm triggered.
Triggered by Nancy acting like.
Right. And I know you're triggered on the other side. I know there's enough triggering to go around, but we gotta move forward. When we somebody said in the chat, in the comments, we're gonna be here all night. I think it's starting to look that way, because a lot of people have their hands raised, and we go back and forth with this. But I do want to say that I never said men shouldn't talk about sex. I actually said that men should ask women what their stance is, and men shouldn't communicate their expectation. But I didn't say we shouldn't. You misquoted me there, Melody. But anyway, we can't go back and forth, y'all. And we got a lot of people who already spoke, and there's a lot of people, new folks, who want to weigh in on this. So I'm gonna let Bacchus go, because he's had his hand raised a while, and then I'm going to go to some new folks, and I'm going to skip over some people who's already spoke, just for the sake of conversation, y'all. People want to weigh in, and we haven't heard from people yet. So I'll let Bacchus go, because he's had his hand up the longest. Bacchus, if you can be real brief, go ahead.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. I did write down notes this time, so I'm just going to go on that and then move on. So as for the young, lovely, gorgeous Miss Melody, anybody who ends up marrying you is going to be a conquest no matter what. So anybody that you get with in between, conquest is conquest, if that's the way you want to look at it. Fine, no problem. Moving on. Waiting to have sex. Don't know what your background is, don't care, but anybody who feels this way, that think that waiting to have sex now is something that you're going to do, well, Jamarquavius and everybody else didn't have to wait, so why should the next dude have to pay more for the same thing that everybody else had? Moving
Everybody else did have to wait. Okay, so that's
Come on,
not my story. Everybody else did have to wait. Yeah, stop assuming that I've had sex with all these men and I'm making the next man wait.
Not saying all these men, but I mean those guys aren't still around, so obviously they got it and they rolled on. They got their conquests, as you said. Okay, moving on. Wait, I can't know my handwriting. I started to write when I'm drunk. Anyway, men shouldn't have to tell women their plans. Fine, if that's what women want to do, not tell men their plans, then cool. A man shouldn't have to tell you their plans. My plan is to just run your name through the mud and not tell you and then go home to my wife. I shouldn't tell you that because you want to lead everybody on. I think men should be able to lead women on as well. And for Brandi, they ain't no ugly billionaires, all right? So money does play some kind of factor into that. I'm just saying. So yep, that's what I got right now. I appreciate it.
Did he say me?
Very much. And yeah. Yes, you, Brandi. And
we don't want an ugly millionaire. And why is it if we are why is he got to be ugly?
I said there are no such thing as ugly millionaires or billionaires.
We don't want an ugly millionaire, but some people be talking like that. And I have to say, like, my mom used to slut shame us. She's got 4 daughters, 3 sons, and my mom used to slut shame us with the, my mom's Catholic and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So we get it, but we're still horny. We still carnal. We still.
All right, y'all. Let's move it along. Let's move it along. D, you're up. D, you're up.
Don't be feeling bad for your needs and wants, and that's all I got.
D, you got it.
Okay, so I think Nancy and Melody have really good points if they actually listen to each other and combine them. Melody, I don't.
How do you combine it?
Well, I'll tell you, because Nancy is saying open communication, period, so that people have choice, and also that you're not wasting your time, as we've been saying, and be free to do whatever you want to do with a checklist. That's why you have logic in this before you give heart. And Melody is saying, she's not saying that she may not give open communication or she may not eventually tell these people. She's just saying right off on first dates, she's not doing it. And I agree. As far as like you're saying, a man should not say his expectation out first. See what this woman wants so that he can say, you know what, I don't even need to waste my time to tell her my expectation. We're not on the same lane. And then he can go. But I think if they're listening to each other, they're saying the same thing, just different ways. Melody decides that she doesn't want to have sex, and Nancy is saying, but I am, but this is a checklist that I'm doing. If we listen to each other, we can get good points from each other because both of the ladies really had a good stance. Everything is about choice, but you must have open communication. You must not lie. You just be open. But I've noticed also what I wrote down is that most of the men talk about the money and game. I was thrown off with the game situation. And a lot of us women were, zigzag snapping when Paul communicated because it tapped into our emotional intelligence. And I was a little confused with the pandering situation too. So you guys have to explain some of these definitions to me, game and pandering. But most men like Paul are going to have our spidey senses going off because they're speaking. He's speaking of emotional intelligence. That's what grabs women. But most men will say that he's, again, another word, simping. Don't know what that is, because he's getting tapped. He's talking like that versus talking about the money and dating. And all we want to know is, are you emotionally intelligent? The self-healing, the self-awareness. And I'm not going to waste time because I know we've been waiting a long time to talk. But open communication, period. And logic. Think with logic before you open your heart.
Right.
That's
I hear what you're saying. I didn't understand where the pandering stuff came from either, D. So you're not the only one that's confused about that. And game is just your a guy's ability to attract the sort of woman that he wants. We talk about like things like his mouthpiece, like how he speaks to a woman, the things that he says. It can be a number of things, but it's just his overall things that he's bringing.
Okay, so then my next question for that is, the gaming situation, is that going to be a consistent thing?
Well,
or
game,
is that
if a guy
fishing, is that just you throwing out your fishing pole and seeing seeing how much you can get and will it be consistent.
Maybe we're talking about different things with game, but game is just either you have it or you don't, and we have it at varying degrees. But let me just ask you this real quick, if you can respond to this, D. You said that both ladies had good stances and they were saying the same thing. Just explain to me how Melody, because I don't understand how Melody's stance is a good stance. I think it is creating a lot of problems.
And I don't want to put any words in her mouth, but when I hear her speak, she's saying, I don't want to tell my status up front. She's saying because she believes that some men are fishing. They want a challenge. They want to play games. And if she says, I am a virgin, or I don't have sex, I want to wait until I'm married, some men will go after her just to change.
Just for that? Okay. Okay,
Just for that. And Nancy is saying, be straight up, be communicative. I have a checklist, but her checklist is logic.
Right.
It's logic.
Okay. I got that. Okay, so when you say it like that, just for a way of avoiding guys who's trying to like do like the conquest thing. Okay, now on that level, it may make sense. But I've had I want to use myself for an example. I had a lady I was when I was doing the whole dating thing. She was on I'm abstinent till marriage and whatnot. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I said, I'm not really on that. That's not really my thing. But I understand and I respect that that's your stance and whatnot. She's like, okay, well, we can still talk. You're a good guy, blase. I was like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And to me, when a woman does that and I let her know what my stance is and she lets me know what her stance is, for me, it wasn't like a conquest. It was just kind of like, I'm not folding. You know what I mean? So it's like, it becomes this game. And to make a long story short, like she had all this, Nancy had talked about like some like religious trauma or something like that. But she had this woman, like we had hung out, first day meeting. We had went somewhere out. It wasn't like I don't want to get too much into it, but I just make a long story short. We didn't have sex, but we damn near did. So it's kind of like, and it wasn't me. I didn't pressure on. She was just had like all this stuff. So I think with a lot of stuff that people say, you got to take some of it with a grain of salt. That's just from personal experience.
I completely agree. I think I tried to say it when we were, for days we've been discussing this, but some people do start with a first stance boundary. Doesn't mean it's going to stay. Mm-hmm. It's just, this is what they want to do. This is what they feel right now they want to do. Now, should people start communicating when they feel a shift in them? Yes, because it does throw people off and it's confusing. But if I say, hey, I don't want to have sex until the 9th date. By that 3rd date, if some things are moving, I should communicate that.
Yeah.
And that's what people aren't doing. They're not communicating throughout the entirety.
I think the 3rd date's a little long because at that point, the guy spent a significant amount of money. But anyway.
That was my next one. Okay. So the money situation. I'm in the South. I'm close to Savannah. The money thing is a little different for us. We go on walks. We go on nature. We're at the beach, So the money situation, you guys are in Atlanta, I guess. Mm-hmm. A little different for you guys, but we literally talk. We may bring a picnic. So there's not much money being given out by
Savannah right quick. I'm going down there this weekend just out of the strength of that. I'm gonna move my tender over there. I'm just saying because I got $40 to my name. Let's see what's up.
Reach out because we make
you want Bacchus hanging around?
we make picnic baskets. We do stuff like that. So when I hear you guys talk about the money, I shift it to where your location is. But you're not gonna spend a lot of money around here, down here on dates. So
that's a good interesting point. All right, Sandrika.
Yes, you got it right, but Shan for short. Mm-hmm. I've been waiting so long. I had so much to say. So I did want to respond earlier to Kristen. I think she was talking about the comment that I made when I said all men want sex. And I mean, I'm just talking about from a physiological perspective, just being real. Men do want sex. So to me, that was no shot taken at Melody or disrespect to her. I think men do want sex. Now, whether they are willing to wait for the woman or not, I mean, that's solely up to that person, what they want to do. So just because they want sex doesn't mean they won't wait or they will wait. And then just to get a little bit more back on the topic that we were discussing earlier regarding the staying in your lane or what have you. So I think it's interesting when we talk about the expectation from women, and we talked about character and having all these things, good credit score. But for men, it's normally about their looks, status, money, or whatever. So I think for me, I would say that stuff varies too, depending on your age and what you're looking for. Because, okay, I might come to the table, I have a great credit score and I have all this stuff going on. But if you don't have anything to bring to the table but your looks, like, how is that benefiting me as a woman? Or even if you have money, but your credit is not together, we can't purchase a house, we can't buy any property, we can't do anything with that. So.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to end the formal conversation, we're going to let Jasmine, then we're going to let Bianca go because we haven't heard from them yet. And then we're going to just open it up to, we're just going to open up to everybody, and y'all can have a free for all. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Hey everybody. I just want to touch on a couple things. With Melanie, when she said that she doesn't want to disclose her status per se of when she goes out on a date with someone. I believe when you get someone number and y'all having that initial conversation, what do you like? Just explaining, what are you guys looking for? If you're abstinent and you're for religious reasons or whatever your reasons are, that should be discussed, because if that other person doesn't want to be with an abstinent person, you're forcing them now to spend money to go on a date and take you out and all this stuff, and you don't want the same things he does, and it's not in line. So I believe that when you're talking to someone, those things should be discussed, because I'm gonna flip it another way. What if you're going out with somebody and they're HIV positive? They don't disclose their status. So now you troubling, because everybody don't keep it 100.
Woo.
That doesn't relate.
Yes, it does. Hold on.
That's a whole nother thing.
Hold on. So that was a great point, Jasmine.
That's not point. Life and death. Me not disclosing my
100% co-sign on that.
Yeah, we got to chew on that one. All right, let's Jasmine, did you have another point you wanted to make?
Yeah, that's that. And then the other one is the talk about sex. If y'all are together and y'all are dating, that should be discussed as well. It should be, we're adults, you should be able to have a healthy communication about sex and what's expected out of sex. You just have to have the open communication. That's the problem with a lot of adults. You don't have open communication. And then the thing about everybody going at Paul and stuff, saying, he's better in his stuff, he's going to therapy. I kind of agree with the therapy part, because I dated somebody and it was just pure hell for almost 2 years, because he didn't have that healing, or when he went through something, he didn't know how to process this, and you're almost 40 damn years old. So I think therapy, everybody don't get it or want it, but I think that's a valid point as well. People should get therapy. People should talk to somebody. It don't even have to be a therapist, a counselor, a preacher, or whatever, but most people need therapy, especially when you're used to doing something one type of way and it's not going the way that you've been doing. Talk to somebody, get some other opinion, get a counselor, get a spiritual advisor. And I think that's all I had written down. All
right, thanks, Jack. You made some great points. Only thing, if anything, I agree with is that everybody needs therapy. I don't know if you said that, but I don't feel like I need therapy. Maybe that's arrogance on my part, but I don't know. Not at this point in my life right now. But
it's not for everybody. If you don't feel like you need it, that's fine. But some people actually need to sit down with themselves and realize you might have to talk to somebody, because if you talk to a family member, that's talking to a family member. Talk to someone that don't know you.
All right, we're going to let Bianca go. Before Bianca goes, that I've laid out some solutions for some folks, and I think that a lot of these problems would be avoided if we stop dating people who are strangers. So, for example, I know that what Melody's stance is. I know what a lot of ladies' stance is and where they stand on where they're at sexually. So it's kind of like, if I know that's something that I don't want to do, I don't have to go through the turmoil of taking Melody out or taking whoever out on these dates if I know that's something that I'm not going to be okay with. that's why I laid out for a lot of guys, stop dating strangers. Like, y'all, we got to get out of this dating strangers thing. Make sure a woman likes you. Make sure you vet a woman before you do anything, spend any money, know where she stands at on things. And then it'll solve a lot of our problems, because this is causing a lot of conflict and turmoil on both ends. But we'll let Bianca go, and then we'll open it up to everyone.
Hello. So I actually had a question for you. So on your PowerPoint, you said that like the 3rd to like 7th state is when most men have that expectation. Now, does that also correlate with having like a conversation about being exclusive? Because I feel like those are 2 different things. And does that when that conversation happens as well?
I don't know I think the conversation, I got to just speak from personal experience and just from talking to different guys and overall, I think the conversation about a relationship, for most part, the way it's happening now in modern days, it's happening after sex has already happened. From my personal experience, when I was dating, the expectation was around 3 or 7. And then if I was like more interested in a person, then we'll talk about relationship afterwards, is what it's typically been for me. But I've also had my most serious long-term relationships, I've only had 2. It's like we didn't wait like a long time to have sex. It was pretty quick. So it just depends. I think it depends on the person, I think. But from my experience and the women that I've countered out on the dating market, it's just kind of like it's 3 to 7 is what the norm is in a relationship talk. For some women, from what I've been experiencing, is it comes, it could be sooner, but the majority of women, they're okay with 3 to 7. And I'm not a pushy guy, and I don't really force myself on women, but in terms of what seems to be the average that's out there. But go ahead.
Then is that to say that men are expecting it before becoming exclusive? Is that like the norm then?
Yeah, I would think that's the norm.
Oh wow. Okay.
For in terms of men's expectations.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't and then we get into this whole conquest thing. A lot of if a woman says she has to be in a relationship, I don't know. I just think that's a bad move. But yeah, I don't think that. Yeah. But great question though. Okay. All right, y'all. That's the end of the conversation. We man, I know we're gonna get it in after we stop this, but just want to say, yeah, we got the game night coming out. If y'all can make it out, that's gonna be a good time. Also, the next conversation we're going to have, and we may, if something culturally happens, because I try to have conversations that are moving things along and kind of bringing some understanding and bringing men and women together. So I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know if we'll have another conversation before this next one we're going to have, but get this book, y'all. I'm learning a lot of things. It's a Bible-based book. So if you're not really a Christian or anything, I don't think it might not be your thing, but the general topic, love and respect, I think you can relate to. And I started reading it, and I'm learning a lot, and it's really great. So go ahead and get that book. It's only $15. I got the hard copy on Amazon, and it's good. It's really good. I really enjoy it. So yeah, that's gonna be our next one. We're doing that in early March. We're gonna read this book and we're gonna talk about it. I don't think we're gonna get the same numbers that we get just doing these free flowing things, but this is the real work, y'all. Talking about this love and respect. This book is phenomenal thus far, and I didn't pick it out. One of our event organizers, Will, picked it out, and he hit the nail on the head with this one. But that's it. We're going to open it up now. Let me stop this recording.